Champions EU Duel Qualifier week number 3. I am Lethal, and I've got with me someone you might remember and might recognise is Zacchaeus. Zach, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Harry. Very, very good. Pretty excited for tonight's games. I mean, we've got some epic people playing today, and you know, we've got just under 300 people that are playing as well, and it's going to be a tough competition, but there are some big names still out there to qualify for the World Championships. Yes, it's going to be very interesting now because we've only got a couple of weeks left of this dual tournament to commence. But if we have a look back at what's actually happened so far over the coming weeks, we've had both of the sacrifice qualifiers. We've had 8 teams which have qualified already for the regionals. And if you look at the dual qualifiers 1 and 2, that's already been done and dusted. So we've had 16 players through to the regionals. And today we're going to play up to the top 16 with the top 8 playing on Sunday. And obviously we've got the same again with the qualifier next week. So, you know, things are going to be very interesting now because, you know, only 2 weeks left. We've got 300 people who've got to play for 16 spots. It's going to be very interesting. Yeah, and I mean, already we've got qualified Zoran, Noctis, Neutrino, Agent, Vu, Cooler, Claws, Cypher, Toxic, Garpy, Avex, Sturmy, Base, Demon, Witchel, and Faz as well. And I pronounce Witchel horrendously. It's Vichel, I believe. So pardon me when I get names wrong. I am dyslexic, and I will be doing that a lot tonight. Do you know what? I might actually use that excuse anyway, just in case I get one of the well,
one of the names wrong.
I've got a certificate, so I can prove it.
Sadly, I can't. But yeah, talk about last week just in general. We saw a lot of really close matchups during week number 2, and a lot of them were 2-1. A lot of them were very close, just in general. So, you know, do you reckon we'll see a lot of these players from last week back into the top 16?
Yes, I think the favourites are going to be Inns and Hell. I mean, they've already been there twice. But, you know, Inns losing out to Garpy last week, which was an insane game. I was actually at Garpy's house watching behind him, giving him some, you know, motivation and stuff. And I mean, he went 5 rounds down and then pulled out an epic comeback, and Garpy just triumphed. Feel really sorry for Inns because I felt as if it should have been his series. His first set was just fantastic on Ranger, just Dire Orbs supreme coming out from him. But Garpy, unfortunately, you know, he got warmed up. The tea started flowing through him. As an Englishman, he needs that first cup of tea in the morning. And he literally woke up 10 minutes before the game and go, I thought it was at 1 o'clock. Like, no, you're playing 10 minutes, mate. Get up, play. And then, you know, Hell was very unlucky. I mean, he's faced Cooler and he's faced Sturmy. And these are people that no shame to lose to at all. These are top names in Quake. And so he should be pretty proud with the results that he's gotten so far as well. Oh, definitely. With week number 3 as well, we're going to see still a lot of the top players left because they've had extremely hard brackets coming into this. Like I said with Helsa as well, like, Kills, he's actually had quite a hard bracket going into it, where that's why he's actually not made top 16 a couple of times. And same with Inns as well. I think in the first week of the qualifier, he did actually make top 16, but yeah, coming against Cypher, it's no easy feat. Definitely not. And you know, interesting about Kilson, he's had a rough start in the duels. Not really breaking through to the top 16, but I mean, he played in the FPS 125 hertz and 125 hertz. But yeah, he played in that and came second to Agent, and he came in through the lower bracket, knocked out Cooler. He almost, in fact, you know, made his way through the loser bracket, getting back into the winner bracket and doing fairly well. But Agent was able to clear up that tournament. I think this is the issue now, because it's such a big event. Obviously, these community cups and these other cups they actually they literally hold. They feel there's not as much pressure on them. It's more like a practice tournament going into this Quake World Championships. Now, I think, considering week number 2 as well, it's just the fact that I felt like a lot of them felt a ton of pressure considering, but I think now the pressure's going on them even more because there's only 2 opportunities left to actually make it through. Yeah, but it does thin out the herds a little bit. Some of the better known names are obviously qualified and they can't re-enter, so but maybe the pressure adds on more though, because you know they're not as well known players, and you know this is a whole different game from Quake Live. Everything's a little bit more, you know, out there in the open, and people need to understand the metas and the shift and changes. And you know, Clutch changed the last couple of weeks. It's often been quite fearful for Quake players. It's unfamiliar to them. Then they don't really want to learn things that they're not used to. And you know, I understand that. Being an FPS player myself, I kind of, you know, I'm fearful of change. I want to be good at what I'm good at, and adapting as quickly as possible is key in Quake Champions right now. You know, when the meta comes out, you want to be like, you know, Too Good, for instance. He is a meta breaker, right? He gets the strats down. He finds the weaknesses everywhere, and he's able to exploit everything. And it's a real shame that he's not playing Duel, because he'd be absolutely amazing to watch, because I played him very early on in the beta, and we had some really, really good games, but his DM6 was out of this world. I couldn't even touch him. Ruins, I could maybe take a map off of him once every like 10 games, but you know, it's just a shame that that kind of talent isn't in the duel as well. But he, you know, his team's qualified for Sacrifice. He's doing really well with Avex, Cypher, and Chrysler as well. I
think, yeah, because a lot of the players from the Sacrifice teams have actually now qualified. And I think we're seeing now that we may see a few players who are in the Sacrifice lines up, which have qualified already, will now probably have more time to actually focus on duel. Because this is the problem we've had before, where some players will focus more on Sacrifice because of the fact that they know there's a few more weeks remaining. But now with week number 3 and week number 4 coming up now, it's going to be interesting to see if some of the players who maybe have just been solely focusing on Sacrifice actually try and play for the duel now instead.
Yeah, I think players like Strengths, for instance, kind of practice more Sacrifice and working on his team play rather than playing as much duel. This is why I don't think we've seen him so much really breaking into the top 16 so far. I mean, he did do it in the first week, but then lost to Neutrino very convincingly as well. Neutrino just got the upper hand on him every time, which is kind of unfortunate. I was expecting him to win, especially after like the killer death bracket that Strengths was in, as well as Garpy. You know, Garpy had to beat Matrox, Base, Chrysler, and then he had Strengths, and then Strengths beat him, and you know, that was a really, really interesting bracket. And you know, now that there's been a more continuous seeding process, it should be a little bit more even out. We should be seeing the right players getting through to this top 16, where, you know, on Sunday they'll be playing for the last 8.
Yeah, it's the seeding which is the main thing, considering how many players are actually competing. 300 at the moment. So with our next match coming up, I think it's going to be, is that Zoorgpl versus Reynir? So have you heard of one of these two players before?
I'm not familiar with them, but we're going to see how they do, and we'll see how things conclude from here, I guess. Yeah,
so it will be interesting to see if some of these unknown players or players we've not really heard of that will actually progress into the tournament, because there will be a lot of no-names who will try and actually crash into the scene and try and crack on. But with Blood Run being the first map, as in being one of the smallest duel maps on the circuit at the moment, are we expecting much from these two?
Either one of these players Russian, then yes.
I've heard stories about, obviously with these Russian players as well on Blood Run, they also don't like Anarchy on this map either, due to the speed.
A lot of Russians don't like Anarchy generally because, you know, they're very used to vanilla sort of Quake style movement, and so when you throw in an Anarchy and, you know, you get a Vu-like player, you're going to be wetting yourself a little bit. You know, there's no two ways about it. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see this matchup. I'm intrigued to see what their skill level is. They might be more active Quake Live players. I'm not too familiar with all the Quake scene, but, you know, I speak to the very high end. I've been working a lot with Garpy, Hypno, Hell, and Vu, and being, you know, a UT player myself. You know, I'm hoping to see some of those UT talent come through. Dylan, go mate.
And he means it as well when it comes to that, because you don't want to let our boy down. So,
yeah.
But yeah, with these two as well, it'll be interesting to see just how they crack on. Because like I said, it's normally the Russians who do enjoy Blood Run quite a lot. I don't know if it's because of the size of the map or the picks they can choose just in general. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how it actually progresses, especially after the first map, because we don't really see much of Ruins of Sarnath much either, just in general.
Well, Ruins of Sarnath is actually a pretty good map. If you're a railer, that's what you want to pick. That's where you want to head to. I mean, Blood Run, it's difficult. It's a lot of choke points. What I find frustrating about it when I play is that when I'm in control and I've got the damage that I wanted, I've landed a good rail here, a good rocket, and I really want to chase down my opponent, but I can't do it through the narrow corridors, through the teleporters. In your brain, you're just telling yourself, if I go through there, I'm just going to be in his situation, but reversed now, and he's going to have the upper hand. And it's frustrating to always have to constantly slow down your game on Blood Run, and you know, players like Garpy, he finds that incredibly frustrating, and you know, Anarchy players, I guess, will find that incredibly frustrating, especially against a Galena player as well, like Cypher. I mean, he again sort of chucked that in there towards QuakeCon, just showing out that Galena, and then carried it forward, and everybody's gone, okay, maybe Galena's a little bit valid here. We can work with this now and push her into some maps, and she's very viable on Blood Run with the teleporters.
But yeah, I'm happy that it's Blood Run as the first map, because it is one of my personal favourite duel maps just to watch just in general. But if you do want to join in the discussion at all, just do the hashtag Quake or hashtag QWC. Let us know what you think, any matches you're in particular want to watch, or anything you want to see of any other players in particular. But yeah, normally with Blood Run, when I see someone choose Blood Run, normally the opposition normally choose a slightly larger map. But is there a reason why on maps like Sarnath we see Slash and we don't actually see Slash on any other maps?
Just flexibility of movement at the moment. It's much easier to glide around that with Slash. But Slash is just not going to be picked that much, I wouldn't think. I mean, you've got to have ginormous, you know, Kahuli's down there to be running the Slash in this kind of tournament. She is flexible. She's a lot of fun to play. And when you have that movement down, it's gorgeous to just run around a map, just load up one. But I think it needs a few more changes before she becomes more viable in duel.
Yeah, definitely, because I think if it was a map like Blood Run where you'd use Slash, yeah, sure, fair enough, the speed can be okay at times, but then you could put yourself in some certain situations where you actually end up being face first against the opponent. And if you're against someone like Clutch, where you want to kind of rail him off a lot more and keep him away, you know, maybe Slash can be quite good in terms of actually trying to get away, but then you've got like characters like Reynir and stuff where you can actually make those movements.
It's hard to be consistent on Slash. That's one of the main problems. The crouch sliding is brilliant. It's absolutely so fast, and you can get around the map even faster probably than Anarchy, but the problem is just that there are certain ledges, certain obstacles that always sort of knock you up or flick you up, and it just can be unsettling. And you know, Clutch has those kind of same weaknesses actually now that you bring it up, but we'll go into that a little bit later on, I think. Oh
yeah, definitely. And with Zoorgpl and Reynir at the moment, we're just waiting for a couple moments to actually get the match underway. But again, like with Blood Run as well, like I do see a lot of Rangers sometimes. I know with Nyx, I think it's one of the most used champions in the meta, mate, with a huge 25% across all maps. And it seems like just on every map in particular, she's the #1 champion to be used. Why is that?
Well, she's very flexible with the wall dodge, you know, the wall jump and stuff. She can get to places very easily. The thing is, with that kind of movement, is that, you know, if you make a mistake, if you're just short on a jump, you can use it to then use the wall dodge to get up. I keep saying wall dodge, wall jump, sorry, to get up back onto the ledge. So it's kind of a forgiveness level, which is very, very flexible, great for some Quake players, but also, you know, the invis. I mean, it lets you choose your fights perfectly. I mean, if you land that first rail, you want to just break eye contact for a while, go invis and go on the attack. I mean, Quake is all about those first picks, that first bit of damage when entering to a concrete fight. When you want to really commit to something, having that invis is just, you know, the most important thing. But, you know, if things go wrong, you can use it defensively. You can get out of there and you can reevaluate your situation very easily. What people should be looking forward to, though, is if you're playing, which you know, I think what's happened in the previous qualifiers is that, you know, when I've been watching, a lot of people not really picking up the time bubbles so efficiently, but now it's improved a lot since the weeks have gone on. And so this makes Nyx slightly more predictable each time that she's used invis. There should be more priority locking down those time shards and locking down Nyx, but we'll see that tonight, I'm sure. But Ranger is solid on everything. I mean, you know, on Blood Run, you can get up to, you know, from Mega down to the armor very quickly just through that Dire Orb. I mean, the Dire Orb as well is just choked in very nicely with the small corridors as well. You come against a big champion, you can easily just put the Dire Orb straight into somebody's chest and get a telefrag. And we saw that a lot actually in the Zoorgpl game. I think he got 3 frags in a row in that game just on Blood Run through the Dire Orb, which is just insane.
I think Avec is also one of the guys who actually did that last time. I think it was just in one game as well. We got like 2 or 3 Dire Orbs in literally in one session. Literally one session. And, you know, he still got it, but even with the special abilities, it shows that it's not just, you know, the aim and the move, anything like that, but people are abusing the special abilities a lot more, which is great to see. But with Nyx, now that Nyx has been used quite a lot, I've noticed Visor's been used quite a lot just in general. Is that more of a counter pick towards Nyx because of the when she uses Ghost Walk, he can use his special ability to actually see where she goes after it's been used?
Of course, yeah. I mean, personally, I think Clutch is more viable right now because obviously you've got a bigger health stack, you've got more viable tools. You know, if you're standing still, for instance, you take 20% less damage. He is really, really silly right now, and it'd be foolish not to use it. Like if somebody picks Nyx first pick, I just instantly pick a Clutch because you can see them when they're invis with the shield. So providing that you can actually land the first bit of damage onto Nyx, that's priority. You'll always be an advantage. Now, if you're Clutch, if you're popping your shield first for defensive purposes, Nyx will actually still cause you a lot of trouble. She's still very flexible, but you just got to be aware of that when you're playing against a very good Nyx player.
Because the thing with Clutch as well is I do see it chosen first quite a lot. Normally first or last, because obviously if you have it as last pick, then you may have had an issue with the first couple of champions and at least you've got him as a counter pick afterwards. But is there any maps which Clutch isn't really good at? Because obviously we know like maps like Blood Run and stuff is actually not too bad, but is there any other maps where he's probably really weak on?
Not so much really. I mean, the problem is when people initially pick up Clutch, they want to go fast. Everybody wants to go fast, they can't stop themselves, and they kind of utilize the dodge in a way that they think, you know, I'm going to utilize this like a strafe jump, like I'm strafing across the map. And it's just not that simple. I mean, if you're playing on Blood Covenant, for instance, there are spikes in between the doorways, which everybody just seems to headbutt. Or when people go through the teleport, they use the dodge to pick up speed and just immediately on Blood Run just whack their head onto the top sort of top doorway going up to the armor. I mean, I saw Toxic doing that so many times last week against Sparty, but it's still, you know, against Toxic, he needs to make a lot more mistakes before you can take games off of that.
Yeah, it's like that's what it comes to. It comes to mistakes in the day, especially in duel. It's normally whoever makes the first mistake first, you capitalise, or you have to roam for that mistake. But sometimes I always feel like roaming for that mistake to happen can be quite good, because you want to pressure them to make the first mistake rather than just waiting to happen. But it depends on the situation. But we do have a tweet from Team DM Pro, and it says our players have a really good seed with Slip with number 2 and Sombra number 3. And yeah, we're just going to see how they crack on with that. So I hope to good luck with you guys and see how we crack on. But whilst we're still waiting for the first match in a moment, which will be underway shortly. Now, a lot of people have been saying that Reynir and Nyx are quite a balanced matchup. Now, do you actually agree on this? Or do you feel that it's maybe slightly more increased than that?
You know, you have a favourite character, and if you're very good with Ranger, then maybe you don't feel pressured by it. I mean, they both have their weaknesses and their strengths, and obviously Ranger has a bigger stack in armor. So I feel if you get into an even fight with a Nyx, I'll always take a Ranger, you know, because, you know, if you can outlive your opponent, then you're always going to win. That's just, you know, simple math. But it all depends on those flexibilities of those, you know, abilities that are up at the time. And that's what you've got to be really aware of. I mean, it's very hard to hit Dire Orbs. You have to really place Nyx in the right place to land them. But Nyx, you know, she can choose when to attack you. She has more options in terms of setting up and predicting and positioning correctly for a fight. But, you know, they're both even, but it's hard to call. It all depends on the players that are familiar with their champions. I mean, Inns last week, he picked Ranger, I think, every time until he got to DM6. Blood Covenant, that is. Then he felt uncomfortable. He picked that actually Nyx first against Garpy, which was unusual because he'd been playing Ranger and Ranger so well. I think his confidence was knocked. He felt as if he couldn't progress very well with Ranger anymore. Like Garpy may have countered it with his Anarchy, so maybe he just tried to mix it up a little bit. And unfortunately, it fell flat for him. But hopefully, it won't fall flat for him tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I've not really... One thing I do want to see as well, a lot more Scale Bearers in Blood Run, because with the charging ability in close quarters, I've seen quite a few times they had quite an easy kill from that. For example, when I've seen some people actually bait the rail and actually bait it bottom mid, sometimes they bait it so that when the Mega and the rail comes up, normally they just zoom straight across. I think some person, I don't know who it was in one of the last of 16 matches, but they literally stampeded from, I think it was from... it's from Mega to the other side of bottom mid, and literally, like, he got him on the very last bit. But yeah, I am looking forward to hopefully seeing Scale Bearer as one of the actual potential picks in this.
Well, Scale Bearer is actually a really good counter for Clutch because he can charge through the shield. The thing that you want to do though is that you want to make sure that Clutch uses that shield first. Make sure that you're into a fight where you're actually leading straight off the start, and then force him to use the shield where then you can charge, because as soon as the shield's up, Clutch is reluctant to fire usually, and you know. One of the key priorities when Clutch's shield is up, a lot of people forget, keep firing at the shield. Because as soon as you stop firing as the aggressor, he will fire back. He will find an opportunity to just absolutely destroy you. And a lot of players forget this, and the nail gun is super important against Clutch. It is like his kryptonite, and not a lot of people put a lot of faith into their nail guns at the moment, especially when that shield is up. Well,
no pun intended. I think you hit the nail on the head there with the actual super nail gun, but that's the problem you see. When I see a lot of people playing against a Clutch and they've actually used their shield, yeah, you are right. Normally, I see them kind of just averting it or just trying to avoid him at all costs. They don't even try attempt to shoot him. They just try and basically just try and get away, which, yeah, it doesn't make too much sense in sometimes.
It's kind of, it's natural. It's kind of instilled into Quake players, into Unreal Tournament players. When a target is gone, you kind of go, all right, well, what's the next move? I'm going to move on to that. So as soon as somebody goes behind a wall, you're kind of like, okay, he's going to go that side of the map. I'm going to rotate around this side, so on and so forth. And so when that shield is up, obviously things change. So
after a little bit of time, we finally have the draft, and it looks like Galena will be the first pick for Reynir and Anarchy for Zorg, which doesn't surprise me too much because we were just talking about it for Blood Run.
Yeah, so hopefully he's got some CPM A experience. It looks like he has with the Sorlag as well, so he's going to be bunning hop across this map very quickly. Got to be careful of that saw lag though. That acid spit in close quarters is going to be wreckful. But Galena, Ranger and Visor, interesting picks, and also Nyx coming out as well.
What I find quite interesting as well is the fact that he chose Nyx even after he chose Visor. So it made me think twice. I'm not sure if he knows the matchup too well in that circumstance, but all I can say for him is I hope he doesn't go to that last champion when he's playing against Visor for people.
Yeah, it depends on how flexible that Visor is. I mean, you have to be incredibly patient to force that invis and hit those shots first before you get Nyx going invis. Like, that's the whole sort of premise going into this fight, that Nyx will not start off, or she'll either start off using her invis going in, or if she uses it defensively, then she is pretty screwed. But, you know, hopefully that is not the case. Yeah, but she wants to land that first damage and sort of force that Visor's ultimate as quickly as possible, as many times as possible. But whether that happens or not, who knows? Yeah,
because it's like I said, Bloodrun is a hit and miss sometimes in terms of picks, but I'm just still surprised about the Nyx picks at the end. But it's like I said, you know, 25% of the pick throughout the entire thing. But I would be interested to see how much it's picked on Bloodrun, because Bloodrun is probably very useful just in general.
Yeah, I mean, Nyx is always really useful on Bloodrun. Just, you know, you can jump up to the armor very easily. You can access the Mega very easily. You have options to get in, and we're kicking things off.
Yeah, it looks like they're now just going to look down, try and get Mega, but it looks like Reynir picked up the Mega before him, so he's just going to try and get away. And it looks like he will be trying to attempt to get the armor at the moment, and it looks like, I think he's just literally just got it before him, and as he's trying to light him away, he's going to try and hit himself back up.
Yeah, so really low here. He's going to possibly go down to this LG. I mean, what was he thinking? I mean, he had his speed boost up, didn't use it, went across the Mega, which was nowhere near up. Just a little bit foolish. He should have just picked up and stayed a little bit cooler.
Yeah, I think it might have been more first round nerves, because, you know, it's not with any person, but it looks like Reynir's managed to get the first round, trying to spawn kill his opponent, almost managed to in the end, but it looks like Zoorgpl will just barely be able to get away.
This is going to be a fast one here. Reynir just looking very complete, looking very focused, picking up the 100 armor as well now, and he's just going to find himself a lonely Nyx.
Yeah, it looks like Reynir will be hunting him down for now with the amount of health and armor he's got at the moment, but yeah, it looks like he's just pulled back for now, and Zor's going to try and get that Mega, but as he does, he's going to meet to the rail, but it looks like he may just be able to back off in time.
Yeah, there's the zoom rail again. Easy, quick first round there for Reynir.
Yeah, it looks like Reynir, you know, didn't have to worry about the Nyx at the start or anything like that at the end, did he? Like, he seemed to ease himself in quite well. What do you think?
I mean, he's got nothing to worry about in this game, I believe. I mean, with his opponent, he looks very, very new in my opinion, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was just like pre-round nerves. Just dropping down the totem there. It's a little bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Like, with me, for example, like, you know, it doesn't matter how many tournaments you go to, first round jitters can always happen. Like, you know, it can happen to anyone. But obviously, it depends on how many experiences you've had. With Reynir, he's obviously, like, knows it quite well, not just the map and the game itself, but I think in the tournament scene in general, it just seems to be quite comfortable going into this. But as we're talking about that, it looks like he is just about to frag him, but yeah, never mind. Reynir's managed to finish off, no problem, and he's going to try and get the spawn kill straight afterwards.
Bouncing him like a pinata, just smacking him about, air rockets everywhere. And Reynir just looks completely and utterly relaxed right now. He's just going to keep low, putting down these totems, and just wait for his opponent to walk into them, get some free damage. Anarchy looking a little bit lost on the other side of the map here. Coming in with the shotgun, takes down the totems, knows it's about.
Now, it's quite interesting now, because he's got Galena with, like, full health, full armor at the moment, and he's just waiting for, like, an instant with height advantage, but it looks like he's going to rail away for the next armor to appear in the next 10 seconds, but it looks like it's going to frag him anyway, and already now, it's 2 champions down.
Yeah. Zoor just standing there, taking rails. I mean, no attempt to actually get out or sort of heal up. Using his invis very early here, just the scared noise. Doesn't even take any damage, I don't believe. Just the sound of the rocket was enough to make him trigger it. So very inexperienced here, and unfortunately is going to fall down here now. Definitely.
I think the nerves are getting the best of him. It could be a massive skill gap just in general, but you know, this is probably one of the fastest game of ones I'm probably going to see today.
Indeed it is. I mean, it's going to be 3-0 in no time.
It's going to be an early night.
Well, I hope so.
Well, look at things like we've got Reynir who's now going to go for the armor again like he did before, and now he's going to try and stop him from actually going up, but he lets him get away anyway. And it looks like now he's beefed up again with the healthy armor, and now he's going to try and pin him down as much as he can.
Yep. Reynir with the nail gun, shotgun to his name. Going to pick up an RL here. And stacks.
Yeah, I think stacked is an understatement for Ranger at the moment. I think at the moment Zorg is just waiting for the next armor it appears, but it looks like he was going for the Mega instead and just barely manages to get away. I've not actually seen that before, but it looks like with Reynir now, he's now back to his maximum armor and he's just waiting for his opponent to come through.
Yeah, good timing with the teleport there with the dire orb. Wait for his opponent. He wasn't even flinching as he was doing it, just wait for the Mega. Teleport up as soon as he got it. But good rockets actually coming in from Zoor. Getting his opponent confused there. Reynir was searching, got hit roundabout, and couldn't find his opponent very quickly, but he still had the armor stack, he had the Mega, and so he had nothing to really worry about at the end of the day. I mean, it seems like he was just delaying the Mega slightly there, just so he could time it with the armor, and big damage coming on the top of the head of Sorlag, and she's running away.
I think this is a skill gap here. I think normally when people ghost walk in that situation earlier on, normally they'll just run straight past them or just stand still just in general and wait. But because he carried on running off, I think Reynir kind of had a feeling that he would, due to the fact that he's feeling a bit pressure going to this first round matchup. But right now it looks like he's going to just plough into him anyway. He's got so much confidence going into Zorg at the moment. But it looks like Zorg could be end of the road from here.
Yep, first map down that quickly, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to pick next, because you know he looks fairly new to Quake. It's good to see that we've got some new players coming in, but yeah, Reynir just looking too strong, absolutely hammering out the damage as well.
Now, this is going to be quite interesting now, because it's not just the pressure of what happened in that first game, it's the fact that it didn't take out one champion at all. A nice 6-0 sweep. Now, I think he's hoping doesn't drop a goose and actually not drop any champions after this next round. But what do you feel like Zorg has to do now in this next matchup? What do you reckon is the next best pick for him?
there's no best pick for him in this matchup. This is that simple. I mean, he's completely outmatched in every regard. He needs to put a couple of years into Quake at the moment. I'm not trying to be really nasty or anything, but you know, it's good to see that he's actually trying. He's putting himself out there. A lot of players wouldn't do that, and that I have a respect for. But you know, he's going into one of the biggest tournaments that Quake has ever had in a long time, and you know, this is kind of the caliber of players that you should be expected to go up against, and you shouldn't be disheartened. You know, any bit of damage that he lands, any bit of confusion that he gets on his opponent is a small win, and he should take away something from that. You know, it just Reynir looks so good right now in comparison, but we'll see how Reynir does further on in the competition. I mean, who knows? Yeah,
it's one of those situations where, like, you know, it could be one of his first week's matchups just in general, so, you know, there shouldn't really be too much pressure on him because of the fact that I think he has a feeling he knows what's going to happen just in general, but, you know, being on stream can also add to the pressure as well. But, you know, if this is one of his first events or first online cups actually going in, then, you know, we could probably see what happens from there, because, you know, it's like we said before, we've all had first tournaments like from years and years ago in the past, you know, and we feel that pressure, but sometimes it's the adrenaline which kind of overcomes that pressure and the nerves going into this. But yeah, we have just been told it is Ruins of Sarniv, which is going to be the next one, so I am hoping to see a bit of Slash, but, you know, kind of for me.
Well, hopefully we'll actually see it, you know, with this kind of matchup. I mean, might just have a bit of fun here, Reynir, and just go with a Slash pick, but then again, it's a qualifier for $1 million tournament, so probably not. And he's picking up his first pick on Galena, and Anarchy again coming up for Zoor.
Yeah, it looks like there could be one of those players where they like to stick with their matchups rather than changing depending on the meta of the actual matchups they're playing against, depending on which map. So, you know, it won't surprise me too much. Like, we've seen Galena, we've seen Ranger, we're seeing Vice again, the exact same matchup for Reynir, and it looks like with Zorg, they've chosen the exact same matchup as well, but instead having Snorlag last instead of Nyx.
Yeah, I mean, Vice has been basically top 3 picks from these lovely ESR meta picks that we've been provided with. Thanks, ESR. Always a good, reliable source of information, if not a little bit angry in the community, but, you know, that's what you expect from ESR. You got to love them. Well,
yeah, this is one of these things, I suppose, because I think to be a top-tier player as well, you're not just understand the matchup, but you need to choose the champions which is right for the map as well. So as you could see, it didn't seem to matter if he'd chosen the smallest map or the largest map. It seems like he just wants to stick with the same composition the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players will do that anyway, just comfort picks, you know. For instance, I've had a bit more experience with Hell on this. He's very comfortable with his current meta setups, and he's reluctant, he's scared, or I should, to, you know, involve new play, new changes, because he worries he'll play worse when really he's got more to gain and more to learn by doing that, by mixing things up. And, you know, the quicker he does it in practice, the better he's going to be when it comes to a tournament. And, you know, you don't want to have that decision, this guy's beating me on my best matchup, and now what can I do? Oh, I could try and mix it up, and then you're just thrown into the deep end.
Well, this is exactly it. But again, we've got Galena versus Anarchy, the first matchup. And as we can see, Zoorgpl will go straight for the Mega and the Rocks. Huge advantage right now as he's trying to look for the Anarchy player. But I think the Anarchy player right now is actually just dropped down, is looking for the armor, which I think Trotty's had already. I think he has got the Mega ready, though.
Yeah. I mean, good spam rocket down towards the railgun, sort of reading into the situation where his opponent would be, picking up that armor, and could be a fight here. The rockets, big rocket coming in. Ooh, Zork coming out on top here. He can chase this frag down. He switched out to the try, but that's not a great move. But he will find the Mega. Panicking, searching for his opponent. Just a little bit wary there, but Galena gonna be able to pick up that armor, and comes in strong and comes in fast, and there we go.
Oh, that's such a shame as well. But it's not just low tier players. Some of the mid to high tier players do sometimes assume they're on more health than they actually are, so it makes them feel more pressured whether to actually wait and go down or whatever. But I think Zorg was kind of waiting for the Mega at the same time. I think he's hoping to pick it up and also drop down for him at the same time, but sadly by then Reynir was already healed up. But it looks like they're going to a battle at the moment. I think Reynir is going to try and be able to finish him off, and he's waiting for the outcome, but it looks like he will get the arm at the same time, but it looks like Zorg will be getting away with the rocks.
Yeah, I mean, Zorg, a risky poke out there with the railgun there. I mean, one hit away from death she was, and good spam rockets coming in, landing and connecting. Got in visit just at the right time. I was hoping that she wouldn't go in, and she didn't, which was the right move. Gonna try and go down to the low ground and pick up the armor. Got to watch out for these totems though, but this is surely going to be it for Nix unless she can land in another couple of rails. And yeah, Reynir's going a little bit easy, I feel, on his opponent there.
Yeah, it looks like Reynir is keeping timings really well at the moment. It seems like not giving Zorg any chance at all to gain any power-ups. And it looks like he is on the hunt for him right now. With Zorg, he hasn't picked up any health orbs or armor shards or anything at all at the moment. He seems to be just trying to back off and be careful. But I think he's more playing the sound game at the moment rather than actually trying to seek out his opponent and try and heal up.
I don't know what game he's kind of playing at the moment. I mean, there's many options there to be had. I mean, the timing was pretty rough from Reynir, to be honest. I mean, there was an opportunity to steal Mega, especially when you're Nix. Maybe he didn't have invis, maybe he didn't want to go for it. But I think he just looked a little bit lost on the map, to be honest, than more than anything else.
Yeah, because there was a lot of time in that game. I think it was about 30 seconds or so. It seemed like he wasn't too sure. I don't know if he didn't know where the health orbs or armor shards were, or maybe he just was a bit pressured and a bit wary in case Reynir's actually already there waiting for him to actually expect to do that move. So, yeah, it's quite interesting. But again, Reynir going straight for the rockets and the Mega Straffers and hunting down his opponent.
Yeah, spamming out the teleporter exit there. Going straight for the LG and probably rail soon after. He's going to try and read into his opponent here. Didn't quite guess correctly, but they're soon going to meet up in the rocket launcher. Zorg is going to get 7 cannons to death here.
Yeah, considering it as well, he actually had full armor and almost full health as well. He was pretty beefed up. And considering he actually managed to come out on that just barely as well after the acid. But right now, he just needs to get out of it and just get some health and armor back.
After that dire orb, I kind of choked up a little bit there. I always forget that Quake doesn't have full damage in.
So I've completely forgotten as well, to be fair. So you know, you're not the only one.
As a UT player, I was like, oh, he's just killed himself. But no, that's not the case at all.
And it looks like now already, as we were talking about that one segment, all 3 champions down already. 12-0, I think that was in overall. to be expected, considering the last game or the last map was exactly the same.
Oh, mate, yeah, this is long over. Like, bring on the next match right now. I mean, there's not much to cast here apart from Reynir picking up some frag movie shots.
I do apologise, sorry, by the way. It's actually 15-0 so far, so potentially 18. Sadly, you know, I meant to be able to do math, but sadly, as you can see, I can't. But as you can see here, like, Reynir's just going to keep him back for now, try and stop him from getting the rockets, and it looks like he's going to finish him with the machine gun with no problem, and now hunt him down again.
Yep. Grabbing some time shards here. Chopping Totem down on the teleporter too, just in case we see this Nyx go through. Some easy free damage. I mean, Nyx can actually be one-shot by one of those totems. They do 75 damage. They also heal Galena for 50, I believe. Incredibly useful and great for slowing down fast-moving players as well. But
Reynir's in a situation now, I think, where he's actually knocked him down, but he's trying to actually wait for him to actually poke out. But he's trying to rail him from such a small range at the moment. But you have to do a couple more rounds. Oh, no, never mind. It was in rail range anyway, but looks like he will be getting away and going to try and go for potential rocks and mega when he actually goes out there.
Reynir doing more damage to himself than Nyx there.
Yeah. I think that was an understatement, like, to the least, wasn't it?
Just randomly fire around, wait until something connects. But easy control maintained here from Reynir.
But this is his opportunity now. Like, Zorg needs to try and figure out exactly what he needs to do to get these power-ups back up. But it looks like he jumped and bashed into him anyway. But unlucky for him, it's going to be down to his last champion, which is Snorlax. So yeah, it's going to be tough against Galena.
It's going to be tough, yeah, against Reynir in general here. Snorlax doing some nice acid spit. Hopefully that can do something, but it won't. Rocket's too powerful. Getting hammered, and a clean 2-0 victory. Reynir just too easy for him. I mean, to be honest, I think he was going a little bit too easy on him as well. I would have rushed him down immediately at every chance, knowing how you know, how squishy he was. I mean, picking up the Galena first as well, using that. It was very. I would have just gone, all right, I know my level of my opponent now. Let's not draw this out any longer. Let's end this quick and let's move on to the next match. I
think this is the problem as well. It's like, I think he was in a situation where the skill difference in the two of them was so big. I don't think it mattered what map, champion, even if you let Reynir just have a machine gun, I think it just came to the point where, yeah, I think it was do or die time for himself on that second map, but it just wasn't going to happen at all.
Yeah, but there's a lot of respect for Zorg. You know, he's coming into a big tournament. He's putting himself out there. He's been on a stream. You know, it's incredibly nerve-wracking.
Oh, definitely, definitely. It's like for any first person who actually comes into this, knowing that when it's their first tournament, it's going to feel a lot of pressure. But I do hope that Zorg will watch this back and actually learn from the mistakes he made. But I don't think it is more just the mistakes he made. It could have been like just quite a lot of pressure just in general on him. Because you can see from here, Reynir was on his case 24/7 throughout the map. And it even seemed like when Zorg had even a beefy number of armor and health, it just seemed to be outplayed.
Yeah, that was a fight that Zorg might have been able to have if his aim was slightly better, unfortunately. But he should be proud of that fight and that damage that he did there. I mean, take away, you know, you actually almost got a kill against an actual, you know, a quality Quake player.
This is one of those things. I'll be interested to see how Reynir plays now as we come to the opening rounds, because, like I said, it's the first round. You know, you could see anyone play against each other just in general. So it will be interesting to actually see how Reynir actually gets on to round 2 and the future matchup just in general.
Yeah, he's got a lot of people to play up against. I mean, Rel, Silence Peace, Sparty, Howe, Buckster, Memphis, Backstein, Picklewa, Slip, No Fear, Chronic, Latromi, Bus Driver X, Ins Hell, Strengths. I mean, I got more, Chrysler, CNZ. I mean,
I think you need like an A1 sheet of paper just to actually have the full list of these different people.
More paper. I'll be honest, I don't have enough. Like, there's so much talent in this competition. It's scary, and you know, some of these matches are going to be like a coin flip because they're so close and down to the wire. It just depends on the moment, you know, it depends on the champion picks, it depends on a lot. And just seeing how flexible these people can like learn the game this quickly. I mean, you're thrown into the spotlight and it's very, very difficult. There's a lot of pressure. Lots of these players are actually, you know, the veterans. They've got jobs. You know, they're not like this new wave of League of Legends players and stuff like that have a lot of free time, that can develop and have a lot of support. These guys have jobs. They're working. They've got kids. You know, most of them. You know, they're very old and they're very committed. And, you know, I think Quake and Unreal Tournament in particular, they both need to start picking up the new school audience and sort of, you know, develop new talent. That's where Arena FPS should be developing and sort of build up that healthy environment for all the Arena games that are coming out, including Diabotical.
Well, this is exactly it. But for now, that was the first round of the Quake Champions Week number 3. So come up for the third round coming up soon. So we'll see you in a bit.